Welcome back to Craftcast. My name is Ashley Ackley, and tonight we are here with Pleasant and Majesty Blaze from the new Moped magazine. How are you two doing tonight?
Doing swell, all is
Doing
good.
great. Nice to meet you, Ashley.
Same here.
Yes, you as well. So I know I was excited to see the official unveiling of Project M, and I knew I just had to have you two on. So can you tell me what is Moped magazine?
Sure. This is a very exciting moment to talk about Moped Magazine and some of the motivations behind why we decided to create it. And Moped Magazine is a print magazine that will be published 3 times a year. And it will also be available as a downloadable magazine, the ebook magazines. We're still in the process of sorting all of that out, but the print magazine will be available first, and eventually we will also make available the digital version.
Very cool. I was shocked to hear that this was going to be a printed magazine, especially in 2018 when everyone seems to be getting out of that market. Can you tell me a little bit about why you chose trees as your preferred medium?
Well, one of the reasons why I want it to be a print magazine is one because despite the introduction of digital publications, people still like the feel of holding something in their hands, and also to sort of drive home to people the impact of mopeding and where mopeding is at now. The fact that, you actually hold a magazine and the magazine is devoted exclusively to vintage mopeds. And of course, there'll be other content in the magazine like art and music and profiles on riders and non-riders and stuff like that. But still, the idea that now in 2018 we have a magazine that's devoted to the very best of the vintage moped community. And it's something that people can hold and collect. And hopefully, over the years, it will build up a following and people who collect these magazines and reminisce about articles they've read and different bike profiles and things like that.
That is definitely a very good reason to do a print magazine. I know when I saw the announcement, I thought, wow, what a great way to make mopeding accessible for the people who may be a little intimidated to go up and ask questions, especially when some of the clubs may be a little more rambunctious or dirty or just rough looking.
Yeah.
It offers everyone a chance to learn about these bikes from the safety and comfort of their own home in a very professional manner.
Right. And one of the things that we hold very closely to our hearts is the ongoing effort to preserve the integrity of mopeding in the moped community. We're not looking to sell out the moped community or to change it or convert it into something different. We see the very best within the community, and we know just like, well, I used to be heavily involved in the Vespa and Lambretta scene and collected Vespas and Lambrettas and things. And I have a fairly decent collection of vintage motor scooters. And those types of bikes had the ability to transcend different, how could I put it, different themes or movements or followings. You had the mod and then the punks and all of these different people could come into Vespa and Lambrettas, vintage Vespa and Lambrettas, and take something back away from that would be their very own. And the thing about the moped community, a lot of people don't understand mopeds. Mostly these millennials and people, who were born after the late 80s or were born in the mid to late 90s or something. And they were never introduced to these little motorized bikes because, of course, they didn't live through the 70s or 80s. But Moped Magazine acts as an introduction to young people, it introduces vintage mopeding to them, and then it also connects with the moped enthusiasts, your tune gurus and scenesters and people who are very much involved in the moped community with the rallies and events. And then, of course, you have non-riders who have an appreciation for the design of the mopeds or the history, who would like to know more about the mopeds and understand what vintage mopeds are all about and how they were manufactured and more.
So it sounds like a little bit for everyone.
Yeah, it is. It's a magazine that's very open, very inclusive. Our motivations behind creating Moped Magazine were born out of, unfortunately, a couple of negative experiences we had in the past. Um, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it revolved around a moped group that wasn't very open, and they tend to be um, how could I put it, a little negative towards female writers specifically, and also people who come from different ethnic backgrounds. And we were very saddened by that. And this was also followed up too in the online community with one website that acts as a online forum for mopeds. And I personally had a very negative experience there. However, later I learned that I wasn't alone in my experience there. And after talking to a number of people, including the administrator of that online forum, um, one of the things that we talked about was the creation of some sort of safe space, a place where people could go, non-riders and riders, who have a genuine and sincere interest in vintage mopeding and not feel that they may be put off or pushed away or shut out or banned or whatever because of their sexual orientation or their gender or color or anything like that. And so we wanted to create a place like that, and specifically for female riders as well, who at times can sometimes be perceived as threatening by some members of the community because they ride bikes and fix their own bikes and, have a very hands-on, very forward and confident approach to mopeding and being a part of the moped community.
I have a feeling that there's always going to be some room for improvement within the communities.
Yeah, yeah, and also, one of the things that uh, not just yet, but after the first issue comes out, I'm going to open up a special page on the website where the community can contribute images of their bikes, submissions for stories, and be able to feel as if they too can have a voice in Moped Magazine and be a part of it, and that it's not sort of like this publication is dictating or telling them what the community is or something, but that they can define to a certain extent the content within the magazine and tell their story and its stories and have a voice too.
So there is
Uh,
a way to get involved.
yeah, through contributing. There's a special section in Moped Magazine called The Scenes, and The Scenes is a collection of photographs that over time will reflect different parts of the country and the world and people's individual bikes, like just photos of them with the bike, and then a little caption with that. And out of the submissions, a few bikes will be chosen for each issue. But also, I'm going to install a gallery on the website where every month a selection of bikes will be put on the online gallery on mopedmag.com.
Very cool.
Well, one of the reasons why I want to do this too is because Garage or whatever, that company that I don't know if they even maintain the site anymore, but I've never been able to log in to add my bike on there. It just does not work. And I'm sure there are other people who are frustrated who would like to show off their build, but they can't because there's no way to submit the log in or submit the bike or anything.
This magazine isn't going to end up filling up our rallies with a bunch of uppity yuppies, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. No, no, no. We're very much concerned about the dweebs getting involved, or in New York City, we used to call people who jumped into BMX and inline skating who weren't sincere fruit booters.
I think it looks like a combination of it's like a sports magazine, a fashion magazine, and like a 80s or 90s punk scene, but
Yeah.
but with good design and like now, current high-end graphics and technology. That's what I think it looks like.
And we think it will attract people who are also sincere about vintage mopeds and kind of keep the weirdos out and stuff, because I'm absolutely know that there are a lot of people out there who are concerned about dweebs showing up to their events and things and not really wanting to have mopeding opened up in such a way that you get a lot of these dweebs and posers and weirdos in who may want to try to exploit it or hurt it. So we kind of see ourselves also as people who are in a position to protect the integrity and the community as a whole from that sort of thing, and present the community in a way that's sincere and isn't directed to sell it out or make it look silly or anything like that as well.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. I know that was one of the first questions I had as well.
Oh yeah. Don't worry about us. We're not gonna. Trust me when I say we are very much concerned about that too. And that was one of my concerns when I first came up with the idea for the magazine, was how do I present this in a context where it doesn't get infiltrated by the wrong folk who may want to try to exploit it or hurt it or involve themselves in something that they don't know. We want sincere people. Like recently too, one of our good friends came over, and she's a former actress from Hollywood. And even though she doesn't own a moped, she has always had a deep appreciation for mopeds. And she used to live in France too for a period of time, and she saw the Peugeots and the Mobies and things riding around, and she always liked them. And now she's a little bit older, grown up, and she would like to start getting into vintage mopeding and sort of capturing that feeling she had when she saw her first Peugeot coming down the street in Paris. And that story is going to be in Moped magazine as well. And I think everyone's going to be very surprised when they find out who she is, too.
Sounds like a good way for people who are just looking to learn more about what mopeding is, to learn about that in a very safe way.
Yeah, that's a part of Moped magazine as well, is to introduce it to people who may not know a lot about mopeds, but may have seen them in their life, and they have an attraction to them, but they want to learn about them, the history of them, how they work, and also the community that surrounds mopeds and mopeding. And that's something that we want to introduce into the magazine and have a very sincere and genuine approach to that. One brief story I would like to tell about that comes from an experience I had a few months ago in the park. I had my Puch. I have a custom Puch Murray that I built up, and Well, it's an ongoing project with the engine and all that, but that's a different story. But anyway, um, this young kid had one of those beach cruisers, and with the little motorized engine that they order off of eBay or something. It comes in a box from China or something. And he saw my Puch, and he said, "What is that?" And I said, "It's a moped." And he said, "What?" And this kid was, maybe 16, 17 years of age. And he said, "I've never seen anything like that before. It has pedals. You mean you could ride it like a bicycle?" And I said, "Yeah, you can." And he
Damn
said,
kids, get off my lawn.
yeah. He said, "I thought the closest thing I could get to something like that was putting this little motor on a beach cruiser, but it doesn't run very well, and the motor has problems because it's like kind of cheap and everything. It's not very well made." And I told him, I said, "Hey man, you should really look at vintage mopeds. They're very well made, and even though these bikes, a lot of them are over 30 years of age," I said, "you can get into it and learn how the engine works and build your own in the vision that you have in your mind for how you want it to look." And he's like, "That's incredible freedom." And I said, "Yes, it is. It is freedom. And that's what mopeding is all about." And he looked at me, was like, he had just been turned on to a world. He just discovered a world that he never knew existed. It was amazing.
I think we all felt like that at one point or another.
Yeah, that
Definitely. When I was a kid, I used to dream like it'd be so much better if my bike had a motor, and I didn't know that somebody had invented it already.
Years and years and years before.
Yep.
Right. It's kind of sad I didn't know. I mean, I think it needs to be more. I think it's a trend, and I think it needs to be more popularized. Honestly.
Yeah, in terms of environmental point of view, I mean, it's even though vintage mopeds are two strokes, and some people would debate that two strokes are absolutely filthy, it, when you compare it to some of these gas guzzling pickup trucks and even some large motorcycles like Harley Davidson and such, I have an air saw kit on my bike, and I've ported the transfers and done all kinds of crazy mods to my bike and everything. However, um, I can still get, okay, and this is pretty. I think this is pretty accurate. Just day-to-day driving in the city, I can still get almost 3 weeks, like 2.5 weeks off of 1 gallon of fuel. And my tank holds one gallon of petrol, and I can just go and go and go. And even on a kidded bike, it's still economical, versus a car, or even my Vespa, if you could believe that. It's really great, and easy to park, and those are things about vintage mopeding in particular that stand out very much.
Riding around the college, I used to throw mine right into the bike rack.
Yep, yep,
All the scooters couldn't, they wouldn't fit.
yep. Well, to be honest with you, I don't ride my Vespa as much as I used to. Over the past few years, since coming back to the States, I've ridden mainly my mopeds because they're more maneuverable. And as our city has grown in size and become more congested in the city center, the moped has proven itself to be the vehicle of choice in the city center here. Simply because with the Vespa, I can't put it on the sidewalk because it's tagged, and it won't fit by the bike racks, and I have to park it in a parking space, just like a car. And
Absolutely.
it stopped working for me. It stopped being easy to park. But the moped has filled that void, and it's doing it very, very well.
So we've talked about who this magazine is for, but who are you guys, the ones behind all this?
Um, do you want to go, Majesty? Or do you want me to go first?
Well, I basically think that this is a really good way for women to have a voice, and it's a good forum for them, um, and to profile. And, for women particularly, things are a lot about style and creativity, and they approach things in a different way. It's not just about, I don't know, the mechanics of it or something. It's also about wearing the fashion and what you wear and how it matches your bike and how they do up their bikes, and their attitudes and perspectives on it is different. And I just really am glad like that they have a voice and they have a forum, because I really feel like in general they're marginalized.
A bit of the look and bling of mopeds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the uh Femi Pedal's moped group, they've got some amazing bikes, and then of course, the Gaskets in Los Angeles and various other clubs. Some of these bikes they have are amazing, and I don't mean just mechanically, but physically, aesthetically. They painted them and put art and all kinds of things on them, which is quite amazing. I've seen some amazing looking bikes out there from these ladies.
There are plenty of awesome customized or super customized bikes all over the US that most people will never get a chance to see. So I think it's very cool that you can feature some of the best ones. Maybe give
Yeah,
us some ideas.
I'm really excited about it, and yeah, I mean I've seen some great bikes, and we just took a trip down to Sarasota. But before I talk about that, I want to answer your question. I'm sorry. You asked me, who am I? Me and Majesty are both artists. And up until about 2.5 years ago, I used to live in Amsterdam and in the Netherlands. And over there, we have what we call the motobromers. And we have the moped path that is specifically just for motorized bikes and bicycles. And everybody rides. And it's not unusual to see all different kinds of bikes from different eras. Some collectors, especially in the south of Holland, have some immaculate mopeds that they have preserved from the 50s and 60s that look like they just came off the showroom floor. It's unbelievable. And, I've always been inspired by mopeds. And even though I come from the vintage scooter world, I also had mopeds. And my first moped, of course, was the Vespa Chow. And I was basically, wow, I've got a Vespa, and P200 and, Vespa Sprint. But look at this moped. Like, they have a Vespa Chow. I should get that. Yeah, I'm going to ride that. And, so um, it's all very exciting to me. And I'm very much inspired by vintage bikes and small displacement bikes. And but recently we went to Sarasota to talk to the members of the Dirty Petcocks down in central southern Florida. And
Shout out. I know we've interviewed them as well.
yeah, Walt and Monica and Colin are all the best. And we had a wonderful time. And Walt is a tech guru who is amazing building engines. And this guy showed me some bikes that were really off the chain, especially his Peugeot, and of course his first Puch that was something to witness. But they're the best, and me and Majesty kind of think of ourselves as, even though we're not official Dirty Petcock members yet, we kind of think of ourselves as being very much a part of their group, and we look forward to seeing them again soon, and have actually thought about having our release party down in St. Petersburg or Sarasota area.
That would be a fine place for that.
Oh yes, it's beautiful, absolutely.
Uh, did you want to say anything back there? Tell us about yourself, or?
Well, I've always really liked the sustainability. Like, ideally, I would love to live in a world where everybody rode mopeds and they were all electric powered and electric based. And I really think it's the future because I just know the sustainability of gasoline is, and all these big cars and all this dumb crap is going to end at some point. And I feel like in doing this magazine, we're ahead of the curve. And I've always just really liked the idea of mopeds in particular because if you run out of fuel or whatever, you can just pedal it. You can keep going. You don't have to rely on one or the other. And it gives you options, and it's really great. It's a wonderful invention, and I really like that it was trending when it was, and I wish the world had gone in the direction that it was going when they initially came out. And in doing what we're doing, maybe we'll propagate it to resume and start trending and going and pick up where it got left off.
Yeah, yeah. I saw some amazing electric mopeds out of some company in New York. I wrote them recently to ask if they would be open to a possible feature because these mopeds, even though they were electric, they aesthetically had the look of vintage mopeds, and they caught my eye, and I was quite taken back.
Where is Moped Magazine?
Oh, we're on the East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah, we I don't know how to really talk about this, but we kind of want to keep our studio somewhat secret because I know this sounds pretty outrageous, but because this magazine revolves around vintage mopeds and slightly veers more towards the female riders and such, there's some people who are very unhappy about that. And yeah, we kind of, we like to operate in secrecy to a degree. But we're on the East Coast and we're in the Southeast and we're near Florida.
Definitely understandable. So let's talk a little bit about the content of the magazine. I know you've already mentioned that you're going to have a couple different sections where people can write in, but what else is the magazine going to feature?
Okay, the sections of the magazine so far that we've established in issue 1 will, of course, be the scenes section. That will be a collage of photos of different bikes from different owners from all over the world. And another section will be a word I came up with. I don't know if the word will ever catch on. It's not, it sounds a little goofy, but I still think it's pretty cool. But I call it Moper. And one section will be the featured Moper. And the Moper is a moped rider. And in that section, we will ask a series of questions. And the rider will respond with her or his opinions and answer the questions about their life, their bike, what inspired them to embrace mopeding, and so forth. And the other section will be the featured moped, and that will be a section that will feature a bike only, and the owner will talk about her or his bike and about the mechanics and where they got it from and what inspired them to purchase that particular bike or build it up in a certain way. And that's going to be a big spread. And a couple of wide photos of the bike and details of the engine and things like that. So that's sort of the technical section. And then, of course, we have our product review, where we review products from the various moped distributors. And we look at the products in depth, test them, and then give a rating for each product. And we're very happy about that section too, because we know that a lot of riders want to know beforehand, like, hey, does this kickstand, does it hold up to like everyday use, or this exhaust, like how good is it? Does it hold up? Gloves, helmets, pads, handlebars. We're going to be testing everything. And it's also a way for Moped Magazine to connect with the distributors out there, and also help to strengthen that connection between the riders and the distributors, as well as allow the distributors to promote certain products and or events or sales and things like that in Moped Magazine.
Part of Brapcast is also reviews. The dose cycles temperature gauge has been the first in-depth review so far. So as someone who is also making that content, I can't wait to see more.
Yeah, we're very excited. Treats and have been very, very, very friendly towards us. Rodney and Dana and all the people there who make up Treats and help to keep our community going by supplying us with awesome and rad parts. And also Detroit Motor Works have also been really great. And Sarasota Mopeds is another awesome shop. And we're very happy with our distributor friends and shops, and in the future too, we have been talking with them about carrying Moped Magazine so that the magazine is available in different parts of the country where people can easily pop into their moped shop and buy an issue of Moped Magazine. And
Or
even
maybe
see the
even
shop
add
in
it
it.
to the end of that order on Treatland.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to promote the shops, but we also want to help make the link between the shops and the riders stronger, and to keep how can I put it, to maintain that link, because in a lot of ways the shops are the backbone of our community. Without them, we wouldn't really be able to keep these bikes going. And companies like Treats and Sarasota Mopeds and Detroit Moped Motor Works, they do a great job in helping us continue and helping to keep the community going.
Excellent.
Oh, I'm sorry. There were two other sections I left out, three other sections of the magazine. The music section, which we will highlight different musical artists, underground artists, and some established artists who also have an appreciation for mopeds. The majority of the people, whether they be celebrities or music artists or writers that we encounter, uh, they appreciate mopeds, and they may not own one, or they may have, but they have an appreciation for them. And that's kind of the link with Moped Magazine, is that the people who we feature in the magazine are people who have some sort of connection to mopeds, whether it be emotional or directly they own them or have ridden them or worked on them in the past or even currently. And that's important to keep that link. But we have an art section where we cover featured artists who ride and also create artwork, and a writer section for authors, people who write books, literary artists who also have a connection to mopeds, either directly or indirectly through their work or their personal lives.
Beautiful. It sounds like it's going to have a little bit of everything going on. How big is this going to be? It sounds like by the time you get everything out, you want to say it's going to be a phone book.
Well, that's the thing. Right now we're starting out fairly small. It's not going to be a big, thick magazine at first, but we hope that as we grow and continue forward, that the magazine will grow in size, and we can begin to introduce even more sections and have all kinds of different topics covered in the magazine. But we're very excited about our first issue that comes out sometime in October, and we hope it makes a splash.
I'm sure it will. So we talked a little bit about where we're hoping to be able to get it and when it's going to be out. Uh, right now, what can we do to ensure that it shows up on our doorstep?
Well, the easiest way and the fastest way to get a copy of Moped Magazine at the moment would be to subscribe. That's through our website, which is mopedmag.com. And the subscription is $23.95 for USA and Canada, and that includes the shipping, and that's for 3 issues for 1 year. Now, it is a reoccurring subscription, so if you don't want the subscription to turn over next year, then you would need to immediately cancel the subscription after you make your first order. But we also offer a subscription for the EU and parts of Asia, and that's $27.95 for 3 issues for 1 year.
So you're saying $23 or $27 for an entire year of a magazine?
Yeah.
Back when I was reading Electronic Gamer Monthly, I'd pay $10 a month for that. Sounds like this is going to be a hell of a deal.
Yeah, it's a great magazine, and one of the things is that the retail price of the magazine is $6.95. But if you subscribe, that knocks off like $4.50 or something. It's a little savings out of that. So you're saving a little bit money. So basically, it's almost 3 issues for the cost of 2.
That sounds great. What are your long-term goals for this magazine? Where do you see it in a year, 5 years from now?
Well, one of the things that me and Majesty have talked about in regards to Moped Magazine in the future, we would like to be able to sponsor events in the future, to be able to do, say, a Moped Magazine moped gathering in some select city in the country or even internationally. And, also events like music events, to be able to obtain a venue and to have some of the performers who've been highlighted in Moped Magazine perform a set for, the community and just bring people together. And that's kind of where we see Moped Magazine going. And also various video productions, maybe filming rallies or something, and presenting that that content, in Moped Magazine, but also have videos available that people could watch for free online from those rallies or events that we host. And that's kind of the direction that we see it going in.
Big plans for a big magazine. That sounds great. I hope they all come true.
Yeah, I hope so too. We have high hopes, and one of the things that I'm looking forward to for a future issue is to do a European issue and to cover the scene over there and revisit a lot of the places back in the Netherlands where I used to hang out, and in Germany too, and show some of the collectors there and their bikes. And I think people would really like that and gain some insight into the European scene. And that's sort of a really big project that I'm looking forward to doing one day.
I would love to hear more about the EU scene. I have done a couple episodes of Brapcast here with people from Bermuda and the Ningers from northern UK. And those
Oh,
have been some of our most popular episodes.
yeah, it's amazing over there. And I used to live in a city called Arnhem, which is in the central eastern part of the Netherlands. And every weekend, me and one of my best friends, Dion, we would bike over the border to Germany, to a city called Bocholt. And Bocholt had loads of mopeds, and we would see every make under the sun, and especially those old Cro-Mags and things, and we were really blown away. And uh, in Arnhem, there are lots of Bradivus Bromers, mopeds about, and those are some interesting bikes as well. The only problem with them is that you can't really get parts for them. They're Dutch made, but the part selection is somewhat slim. So, to people who want to collect those, they have to know that sometimes finding spares might not be the easiest thing.
There's many different bikes that suffer from unobtainium parts.
Yeah, that's for sure. There are some things you just cannot obtain, and on Majesty's Peugeot, the front fork took some damage. It's a Euro version, and it has that plastic fork covering. And for the life of me, I cannot find a new fork cover. And I'm thinking that I will have to go to the south of France in person and just go around and try to find one in the color green in good shape.
Oh my gosh.
So,
yeah, like that's gonna happen.
well, you never know.
Was there any other topics you wanted to talk about?
um, what is there something you'd like to say, Majesty?
I'd just like to say thank you so much for profiling us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, this has been absolutely amazing for me. I have friends who have been asking when you would be on the show, almost immediately after your announcement. And this has been a wonderful look into what's to come. And I think anybody who listens to the episode is going to be doubly excited.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're super excited, and I could I give a shout out to some of my pals down in Florida and about.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to give a shout out to all of my friends at Treats, to Dana, and everyone there, and Rodney, and also to the Dirty Petcocks, to Colin and Monica, and Walt, who's an amazing, amazing mechanic and has done some amazing things with those bikes at Sarasota Mopeds, and also to Detroit Motorworks, Moped Motorworks, amazing, amazing place, and to the Gasquets, and to the Femi Pedals, who are an amazing group of ladies. And we're very excited, and we want you all to know as well, speaking directly to the community, that we are here for you. We're about understanding, we're about love, and we're about everyone coming together, and our doors. Well, we have a saying in the Netherlands, which is, the window is always open. And though I know it translates in a weird way, but in Holland, that means that you keep your window open, and that means that everyone is always welcome, that you always allow people a chance to participate and to come in and to be one. And that's something that has very deep meaning for us, and we want everyone to feel included and never feel that they can't be a part of this because, I'm a girl, or, I'm the wrong color or wrong orientation or something. They won't like me and all this sort of stuff. Well, this is a place now where you can feel included, and we all care about you and love you, and we all love mopeds together, so why not be together in the joy of that?
What a great vision. I think that's an amazing mission statement.
Thank you.
Yeah, we feel that very strongly. It was because of, some things that happened that really, really, really motivated us to make something that would stand out as a testament to our dedication to being one.
And we really like rainbows.
Yeah, we love rainbows. And yeah, if you see some rainbows on our bikes and you don't like it, then that's just it. That's talking to anybody out there. Because rainbows are cool. and they were the 80s too. And they mean technology and everybody and all together in one, and even robots too.
Like the first Macs had rainbows.
Yep, and Commodore and
Yeah.
Tandy, Tandy, Radio Shack's Tandy. It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It was an honor here as well. We're very, very happy.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing what you have in store, and I look forward to that first edition on my doorstep. Have a good night.
All right. You too,
Good
now.
night.
Night, night now.
This has been another episode of Brapcast. I'm your host, Ashley Ackley. Tonight we were joined by Pleasant and Majesty from Moped Magazine. Do you have a cruise shop or super rad mopeder you would like featured on our show? Tell us all about it on Facebook at Brapcast. Find our other episodes on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, and the Google Play Store. Until next time, stay happy and stay brappy.
Night, night now.